So a very quick tip. Okay, so again, I'm going to run through some of what we call the exam hacks. Okay, you really need to understand that you have 2.5 hours, okay, or 150 minutes to answer the 80 questions, which means that you actually have less than 2 minutes per question. So you really need to be able to read fast, think fast, and then choose your answer. And if you are really unable to do it, then move on to the next question and come back and attempt again. The passing mark is 60, but don't aim for 60, okay? So important thing again is candidates will not be tested on government policy announced or implemented within 1 month before the exam. Okay, government is very active this year. Later I'll go through some of the changes, but I think there has been a fair bit of changes in 2023 alone. Okay, so this is the year that candidates are expected to study more things. Okay, that's why I always tell people RES exam is just like a history paper. Small things keep adding onto it every single year or even every single exam. Okay, so do your best, right? And this is a sample question, so don't need to attempt. This question I took from CEA website. CEA actually has sample questions that they prepared to kind of give you a sense of how difficult it is, because I know some of you could be practicing on your own, could be using the sample questions from your school, and some probably buy online and all this stuff, okay? But this is what the CA question is supposed to be. Just imagine reading this is probably going to take you 30 seconds, right? Kelvin, age 37, thinking of buying whatever, okay? And you need to choose 3 things, so based on 1, 2, or 3. And then next thing, they give you 4 choices of 3 answers each. And this is where you need to read and then go back again to the question and then read. Okay, so just imagine how fast 1 minute would have just passed, and then you have to make a decision. And there will be even more complex questions than this. Okay, so again, later when we do the MCQ, the questions are meant to be short, partly because of the platform, and also at the same time, it's not paper, so it's really quite difficult to display everything. And I know some of you could be using iPad or even phone, so it will be really challenging to display so much text on screen. Okay, so again, the important thing is that the questions that we'll be sharing later, it's nowhere near the length and the depth, okay, of what CA will be asking in the exam. Okay, but to get more of these sample questions, you can actually go to CA website. They do have quite a fair bit. Okay, so again, for the benefit of those people that haven't been keeping up, okay, or using your old notes from 2022, I'll be covering some of the things that has changed in the last 1 year. So for September 2022, last year, we actually do have the cooling measures that is being introduced, right? And then with this, you see that the housing grant for the bank have changed. The medium-term interest rate has also changed. Okay, so from the previous 3.5 to 4%, and for commercial, or it's from 4.5 to 5. Okay, so this has changed. The HDB loan has also changed. Previously it was 85, now to 80. And the wait out period. Okay, so the wait out period is going to finish soon, right? So for those people that has been waiting since 30th of September, they will be coming into the market as early as 11, 12 March, 1st March. Okay, so for PPO is private property owners, and then age 55, then they can buy a 4-room flat. Okay, so these are some of the things that have changed. They may ask you case studies, right? When can they buy? Can they buy 5-room flat? Can they buy something like that? You know, that kind of thing. So, and these are the kind of knowledge that you need to have just in case they try to set up tricky questions, which they always do. There are also some changes to the property tax, and that was announced in the budget 2022, so that has taken effect, right? On 1st December, correct, 15 months. October, 1st Jan, comes from 30th September, by end December. So the property tax, we always get these questions, okay, like whether they will be test out, okay, whether there'll be questions on all this property tax, because there's a lot to remember, right? Historically, there hasn't been many of such questions, even though it has came out before, okay, but the odds of coming out is very, very low. Just in case you are someone with exceptionally good memory, you can memorize all. If not, I would just say that that's fine. Just let it slip lah if it happens, or maybe they may just ask you some simple things like has it gone up, has it increased, has it come down, or what is the purpose of the property tax being increased, and that kind of things. Okay. Another thing, just in case there's any calculation questions, okay, whether in the MCQ or in a case study, there will be a calculation on GST. I do not know whether they'll ask you questions like calculate the GST payable, for whatever, and then it can carry over into 2024, and you should know that just in case of any calculation for GST payment that is going to take place in 2024, you should already use 9%. Okay, now there's also the changes on buyer stamp duty, which is the normal buyer stamp duty in the budget 2023. Okay, kind of we call it a Valentine's Day present from the government. So with effect from 15 Feb, the buyer stamp duty has also changed. Previously, it capped at 4%, and now it's 6%. This one you need to know, right? Whether if it's just for the exam or going forward. Or even just for yourself, right? As any other consumer that is going to buy property, you need to know about this. So it's now 1 to 6% for residential and 1 to 5% for the non-residential. And you should also know when the cut off, that means from 1 million mark, right, to 1.5 million mark to the 3 million mark. Okay, so this is important. I think this is very foundation kind of knowledge that you should know. The next thing is the recent changes on the buyer stamp duty calculation. So this is the shortcut for the calculation. Okay, just in case you want to kind of remember, the moment you know it's 3 million, you know it should be at least like 60,000. Okay, so this is the shortcut formula that is times 2% minus 1,008 times 3% minus 5,004, etc. Like most of us, we are very used to the 4% minus 15,004, right? The 5%, 6% shortcut, we are also still using, but again, I think as a real estate agent, most of us, we are using apps lah. Okay, so unfortunately, for you guys taking the exam, you have to remember. I do have a question on the slides. No, the slides will not be sent out. Yeah, so the slides will not be sent out. But then again, like I say already, this shouldn't be new to you lah, okay? If it's new to you, then you can always just do a quick screenshot or whatever, because we do change the slides a fair bit here and there, and we do not want the slides to be circulated and later it becomes incorrect because the information has changed, right? So if there's anything that's important or new to you, then please, you should just take note of it, okay? Or just do a quick screenshot lah. The financial calculator is advised to bring lah, but then again, there are also people that say that I bring for nothing, useless, okay? But most of the time these days, the normal calculator will be sufficient. They haven't really been testing the financial calculation and ask me to calculate the installment and everything as much. Yeah. Can everyone hear me? Because there's a Diana say cannot hear. Can hear? Okay. Oh, thank you everyone. And then another change that has also happened is the CPF housing grant. So the housing grant has also been increased very generously from 50,000 to 80,000 for 4-room flat, and from 40 to 50, okay, for the 5-room flat, and half the amount for singles. The next thing, okay, which is a big thing, especially the foreigner tax. So ABSD has also increased across the board. For Singaporean second property, PR second property, all the way to foreigner with 60%. Right, 60, 20, 30, 60%. And for entity, which is company, and also trustee, 65%. Okay, again, in May, something new is also being introduced. It's also being introduced, which is the HFE, which is also kind of, some people is saying that this is kind of like a HDB cooling measure. Why? It's cooling measure because it kind of slow you down. It makes HDB buyer slow down, cannot immediately see something like they just go and offer. Right, they need to do the HFE first. And HFE has also taken effect from 9th of May this year, right? And some of you might have heard or even experienced yourself, okay, about going to get a HFE, and sometimes it's taking a while, okay? For some people, they say it's taking a long time, in fact, okay? So when do you need? Last time, it's only for people that maybe only need to buy resale flat, but now the new flat as well, for those people going for the December BTO, they also say that must get ready your HFE, and they will calculate your CPF grant. So again, it's good for you to understand, right? In case in the MCQ, they may also ask you things on HFE, like the HFE will tell you what or not tell you what, is this true or not true, right? You never know, so they may also give you a few things that the HFE will have. And that could be a question that also come up, right? On HFE. There's also another announcement, but this will not take effect until 2024, so it's more of a FYI. I don't think they'll ask anything on this, but this also means that if you don't pass your exam this round, by the second half of next year, you might have to study all the plus and the prime and all these extra things that you need to study. Okay, so again, another motivation for you guys to do well. Next thing is, I've also listed some of the additional revision material. I know that many of you are relying on the notes, course notes. You are also studying from a lot of practice paper. I think that's the normal thing. At the same time, I also strongly encourage you guys to go into all these external websites, starting from, in fact, I put them in terms of importance. I think the CA website would have a lot of information there on some of the practice guidelines and everything else. The HDB website is also a wealth of information with all the grants, all the schemes, and everything else, eligibility, HFE, right, all this. Plus, I also like to strongly recommend everyone to download a copy of HDB OTP. You just need to go to HDB or just go to Google and say that HDB OTP download, HDB space OTP space download. You will be able to download a PDF copy of the HDB OTP, and the first 5 pages will give you very good information of what are some of the things like exercise fee and everything else. And sometimes I do see questions coming out from all this OTP CA form. So all this, some of this official form is also a good source of inspiration for the examiner to look for questions. Next thing, the URA website. Also plenty of information to study, with a lot of handbooks, because you have different handbooks for residential, for non-residential, for landed. There's all these setback and guidelines, B1, B2, right? White side industrial. So a lot of things to just study on HDB website, URA website, followed by the CPF, which you should need to know, right? Things like your basic retirement sums and all this, then the IRAs, the SLA, and the BCA, which will have a lot of things like all the strata, share value, strata row, and all these miscellaneous things. Okay, so that is what I would recommend on top of your normal revision material. Another tip is go and look for the FAQ. In most of these government websites, there's always a FAQ section. I personally also think that the FAQ section, it's very good nuggets of information. It's very easy to digest and very easy to read up. Okay, so go and hunt for the FAQ section for each of these government websites. There's a lot of good information in there and very easy to read, because it's meant to for consumers to understand. So I like the FAQ section a lot more. So it's something that you should always read. So lastly, I just want to summarize a few things, which is do not aim for 60. I've never met or spoken to anyone that say that, hey, I study with the aim that I confirm. I think I just do 70 marks, 80 marks, confirm should be more than enough already. Okay, we do have people that feel that they have done 80 points. They should have scored at least 80, but yet they still fail. Okay, So do not aim for 60, aim as much as you can. Do the paper, prepare and study for the paper as though you are trying to score 100. I think that should be the mentality. The same mentality you bring into this real estate business, right? Don't come in and aim to just make do, right? So aim for full marks kind of mentality, go for this exam, and I'm sure that you will pass. Next thing is also start with section B then A. Remember the way that they ask the question is very long-winded, right? They like to put in a lot of things, a lot of information, give you a lot of choices. So imagine after 1.5 hours of doing the MCQ, then you progress into the case study, it might be very tiring. Your brain is not as fresh as you wish. So a lot of people also find it very useful to start with section B. Study all the case study first, try to get your 40 marks, right? And then you go back into your section A. Okay, reach the exam venue early. I think this is normal. Don't stress yourself out. Then some people, they got like IBS, or that means you will have stomach ache and all this kind of things. So reach early, especially those people who drive as well. The car park is always a challenge. And then focus on one paper only if you really have no time to study too. Okay, I don't recommend, it's not that I'm encouraging you to give up on paper, but I also notice that sometimes some people really keep struggling and they keep failing both paper together again and again. And then once they start to focus on one paper, like they clear paper 2 or paper 1 first, they just have a lot more time to study another paper. Okay, so if you have been failing both papers, maybe this time around, try to focus more on one paper and really try to get it over and done with. And of course, hopefully you also clear the other paper at the same time. And for elimination, because I know, unfortunately, okay, there will be situation that you really don't know the question, okay, you don't know what it's asking. So do elimination first, okay. In most cases, you will notice that out of the 4 choices, there should be at least 1 or 2 that it's quite wrong. That means you kind of feel that at least 1 or 2 is wrong. Then at least you are just choosing from two choices. At least you have 50% chance of getting it correct compared to just 25. Okay, and again, no statistic on this, but some people will say that choose a long answer and or alternatively choose a different answer. Okay, this is if all else fails. If you must guess, we don't encourage you to do guesswork, but it is something that we do get feedback. Okay. So lastly, before I start the MCQ, just in case for some of you who need more help, we are also have extra session. So there will be another session on the 23rd and 25th. That is also complimentary and in person. That means it's not Zoom, which I feel that it might be better, especially for some of you that really need help, because when you are in person, when you show up at HDB Hub, right, when you come for the training, you will actually absorb much better. You can study much better, okay? The QR code is there for those people that wants to sign up, or you can just do a quick screenshot. So the 23rd and 25th, there will be 3 hours each by our Primus and Patrick. They are both very experienced, okay, in all this revision as well. And then there's the full day session, okay, which that is a paid session, $80 for LMA student and $160. So that's on the right hand side. You should also go for this. I honestly think that for all the people who really think you need help, that means when you study, you feel that you're struggling, right? Just go for these revision classes. It will help you a lot. Rather than you fail the paper and then you wait another few months and then you still spend another $400 on the exam paper, you might as well spend it on revision classes or paper. So without further ado, let's go into Kahoot and then we can start our MCQ session. Meanwhile, the panelists will still be online in the background helping us to answer all kinds of questions that you might have encountered in paper 2 revision. Also today is paper 2. Don't go and bomb them with all the paper 1 questions. right? So for paper one, if you have questions, attend the session tomorrow evening, and then you can ask the question, okay? Because tomorrow we will have panelists who are also more well-trained in paper one. So don't bomb all your paper one questions here tonight. Huh? So you guys can see the game pin, right? Or you can just scan using your phone. So we will start in another 30 seconds, okay? Because I think we should have more people that's trying to come into Kahoot. All right, let's start. Quick one, just to test that you know how to enter, okay? And also for you guys to know, right, the general demographic. By the way, congrats to all of you, okay, who managed to get a slot, the exam slot, because I know a lot of people also still cannot. Nice. So we do have about half of the people, okay, in fact, more than half. Okay, more than half of the people that are with us tonight is their first attempt. Okay, all right. So, congratulations again. I want to remind: please do not assume that the question is similar to and as simple and as short as what we're gonna ask later. Okay, just assume it's gonna be 3 times, 5 times, 10 times more difficult. But what we're gonna do tonight is gonna give you a sense of your knowledge. And if this is too easy for you, then congratulations. I think you are on your way to get your license. But if you feel that this is like borderline challenging, then obviously you need a lot more practice and revision. Okay? Let's go. Most of the questions you have about 30 seconds to answer. Right? And again, this is very short. And the answers are also very short. So you should be able to read in 5 seconds and answer in 5 seconds. And if you take more than 20, 30 seconds, that means is that you really need to speed up. Awesome. So majority of the people got it correct. And again, for the 100 of you that managed to get it wrong, or got it wrong, that means you need to study. It's in the notes. Definitely it is in the notes. And the salesperson contact number is not required on the ID tag. Okay, so good job, Thomas. 1314 Jasmine. So anyway, there'll be score. Okay, they'll be keeping track of the score, but no prize will be given. The prize is you get the acknowledgement, the recognition, and the pride. Okay, but importantly, don't because of the score and anyhow key, because every now and then we do have people that say, key too fast. Okay, so again, I want you to read and understand and then answer. Yes, the score is not so important, honestly. I'd rather you get it correct, okay, because you only have 30 seconds. So I'd rather you get it right in 30 seconds than get it than typing wrong. Next one, multi-select. So multi-select means you can select more than one answer. Okay? More than one answer. But you can also select one answer. But then again, if it's just one answer, why I put multi-select, right? So valuation fee, commission, and rental deposit. So those people that put HDB rental deposit, unfortunately, agent cannot handle. So that is one transaction monies that agent cannot handle. There's always a lot of question or people being very puzzled about why rental deposit for HDB cannot handle, but private can. I mean, isn't it funny? Because generally the HDB rental deposit would be of a lower amount compared to private. I don't have the proper answer. The only thing I can share with you is that I was ever told by a trainer who is very experienced, 20, 30 years in the industry, that there is a precedence of agent running away with rental deposit for HDB flat. Okay, that means that got agent run away with the money with the HDB rental deposit. But so far, no agent run away with private rental deposit. So that is why the regulation doesn't stop people from taking rental deposit. Okay, even if this funny rationale is going to help you to remember this better, I think it's still good. Okay, because ever since I know about this, I remember this all the time, that HDB deposit cannot take. It doesn't make sense, but it is the correct answer. Okay, let's go. Telemarketing phone calls. So while you are answering, just so you know that being a real estate agent, you are probably expecting to make phone calls and cold calls. So for those people who have been rude to telemarketer and hang up or shout at telemarketer, be nice. Your turn might come that you need to call people. Okay, so 10 to 9 is the correct answer. Some people might be confused, especially the 67 that answer the 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. Read the question again, is cannot be made. So if the call cannot be made from 9 p.m. to 9, the 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. is still okay. It's the 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, that means that you are saying that can only call at night. Right, so again, the people who answer the 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., also the 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., the 14 of you, you probably did not read carefully or you press too fast. So learn to think two-way, bi-directional. That means sometimes it can be done and sometimes it cannot be done, and the answer will reverse already. An auction, when an auctioneer strikes the gavel, how much does buyer have to pay as down payment? While you're answering again, auction is something that PropNex we also have. So as a buyer, or next time when you join us, you will notice that we do have a PropNex auction department. And we're going to have our auction, I think, on 1st December. So in case anybody interested or looking for value buy, can contact a PropNex agent until you become a PropNex agent. Right? It's 10% is the correct answer. So the 79 of you that put 5%, that is more of the resale. So the resale is usually 5%, 1 plus 4. Or the new launch, which is also 5% booking fee. Right? Not 20%. Okay, so 10% is correct. Congratulations. A multiple answer question, if you get wrong, then you wrong already. On block. Right, so if less than 10 years old, which is quite rare, but has happened before, but it's extremely rare because the building is still so new. So that's why, okay, you need 90%. Actually, is environmentally a bit unfriendly. You took few years to build the buildings and within 10 years, you actually want to tear down. Okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But yes, the strata title block allows if this is above 90%, okay, of the share value of people that wants to vote for a building to be on block. What is the minimum average retail unit size? So as you study, you notice that we also need to study about retail. We also need to study about JTC, right? In fact, if you think about it, the whole RES exam, they can really even make it to a 1-year course, like a full diploma, because there's so much things that you can really learn every week. And you guys are compressed to study into like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? So 132 is the correct answer. Okay, for those people that answer the rest, I think you're just anyhow hantam one, just whack. Okay, and maybe some of you may not even have a sense of the square meter. Just so you understand that most of the HDB in Singapore are about 100 square meter. Okay, so anytime when you are not very clear about sizes, you just think of the typical HDB, then half the size or 1/4 of the size. Okay, but that is the URA guideline, okay, for minimum average retail. So in case you are also wondering, the average retail, the minimum size 50 square meter, but there are a lot of shops like money changer, like even some nail salon, newsstand, and all these, they are very much smaller than 50 square meter. But remember, my question is minimum average retail unit. So what this means is that based on GFA, sometimes there could be bigger unit like 300 square meter, like a supermarket, okay, which is taking 300 square meter. Then with that, you can have the smaller units. Okay, so don't be confused. Don't feel that, how come it doesn't make sense? Why 50 square meter when there are actually smaller shops around? is because this is the average resale flat. This one, most people will be surprised. Okay, so in fact, the lowest are 35. Guess is daily. No, I think your guess one, most people don't know one. This one, I trust most people don't know. You just based on your gut feeling. The actual answer is daily. HDB website, they update their data on the resale flat prices daily. Okay, not weekly and definitely not monthly. Monthly, they do like, they only do 12 times a year. It's daily. Interesting. And surprisingly, I honestly, when I first come across this, I also, wow, so on the ball. I thought it was weekly. Honestly, I thought it was weekly. Next, so here's a HFE question for you guys. It should be ready within how many days? Calendar days and working days. I hope you guys know what's the difference. And valid for how long? Okay, the answer is 21 working days and 6 months. Okay, so it's not 21 calendar days. It's working days. I think the people that put calendar days is because the OTP is also typically 21 calendar days. Okay, but in this case, it's working days. And in HDB website, it's stated working days, even though HDB, they do have operations on Saturday. Their definition of working days is Monday to Friday, except for days that has public holiday. So that means that you don't count the Saturday, Sunday, and if there's public holiday in between, you also don't count. Then that's 21 working days. And that's what they expect the amount of time they need to generate the HFE. There's a recent article that even with these 21 working days, right, HDB only managed to meet the service level. That means that really generate the HFE within 21 days for 70% of application. So 30% of the people actually took more than 21 working days. Okay, so these are some general knowledge for you guys also, in case you also doing for yourself or helping someone, okay, or your friend, to just give advice to your friend. It could be way more than 21 working days. On the average, okay, for those people who maybe live in private, maybe don't know. Let's see. The majority got it correct. Okay, it's 90 to 110 square meter. For the 93 of you, frankly, to be fair to you, you are not really wrong. You are also correct, or quite correct. The reason why I say quite correct is because the typical 4-room flat these days is 90. 92 is quite common. You see 90, 92. But you also do see 80 over square meter, the smaller one. At the same time, there's also a lot of 95 square meter, 100 square meter in the past. So generally, or broadly speaking, will there be more 4-room flat above 90 square meter or less than 90 square meter? I would say there are more 4-room flat. So this is a case of, you are also quite right, but the best answer or the more accurate answer is 90 to 110 square meter. The largest 4-room flat I think I've seen is, there are 110, I don't have a lot, but there's quite a lot of 105, 108. I mean, they are as large as the normal 5-room flat already. Okay. This one easy. And easy also got people wrong. And always the case. Okay, so those people later will get it wrong, you don't, because imagine losing this mark in the actual exam. Okay, so, wow, how come the answer so different? Like we have so many 2 only. Okay, so there are a total of how many CA prescribed estate agency form for leasing of residential property. Okay, remember CA got 8 forms. 4 is sale. 4 is leasing. So the answer is 4. Those people who put 8, okay, you are correct. That means that you never read the word leasing. And those people who put 2, because there's quite a lot of you that put 2, I think you forgot because there are 1 for landlord and 1 for tenant, right? And then there's an exclusive and a non-exclusive. So that's why there are 4 forms. Okay, make sense? Yeah, leasing is a general one, so lease from the landlord or the tenant. So you can represent landlord, you can represent tenant. Okay, so easy question, but good. Hope you guys learned something also. Good job, Ling. Estate agents required to retain the original or copies of doc for how many years? Nobody put 3 years on. So 5 years is correct. Last time we get a lot of people put 7 years. But 5 years is the correct answer. Don't need to keep for so long, but 3 years a bit too short. 3 years, HDB have an MOP. Lodge and appeal with the appeals board. Hope it doesn't happen to you, so that you never need to know the reality of this, but for the purpose of the exam, you should still know and study. Okay, all the appeals board, all the mediation, arbitration, all these things are great. So again, majority got it, not majority, in fact, more than half got it wrong. So the correct answer is 14 days non-refundable. Thank you for those people who chose the refundable option, which is the rate, the 26 and the 39 of you, for having such faith that to lodge an appeal and put $1,000 later refundable. No refundable, refundable, then everybody go and appeal for the fun of it. You know your exam paper also got appeal, also got amount, need to pay money, right? Okay, those people who fail your exam, then you feel that cannot be, then you want to go and appeal your paper. The appeal also non-refundable. Okay, so this is where if you apply some logic of how typically things are working around us, not many deposits are refundable. Okay, especially in this case where it is a salesperson putting up an appeal. Okay, makes sense. So again, just based on this logic, you should just choose between the 7 or the 14, the blue or the green. Okay, and 14 probably makes more sense already. So Tikam also can correct one. Okay, so I'm also sharing some of the logic. Consumer claim should file claim within how long? The answer is 24 months. Oh, so most of you did not get this correct. But the good news, again, I always tell people don't feel bad. I mean, if you got it wrong, it means that you're learning something. Okay, you will remember better. In fact, I think you remember better when you get the wrong answer. Okay, so good for you guys. You know the answer is now is 24 months. And again, if there is a particular topic, okay, so when I set the questions, right, I try to choose the question from different part of the syllabus. I try not to concentrate too much on a particular area. Right, so if there's a particular few things that you feel that, hey, this is very new to you, this is something that you are very weak or you have very, very little memory or recollection, right? That is also a reminder that you should go and dig out your course notes and read up a bit more on that. Okay? Maximum claim. Okay, so these are the two Consumer Protection Fair Trading Act question. No more already. Frankly, if they ever ask you such a question, you should be like, thumb your fist in the exam hall and yes, because you got your 2 marks or 1 mark. Okay, depends. Usually 1 mark. But 10 seconds earn 1 mark, good. 30,000 is the correct answer. So again, majority did not get it correct. So hope you learn something. 24 months, 30,000. Okay, Consumer Fair Trading Act. This is quite recently also emphasized in the newspaper. Remember, those people that read the news, you follow the news, there's a 199. Those people that try to evade tax, and then they say you come clean. If not, later the tax penalty will be how many times? Okay, if you come clean, good. If you never come clean, never come forward 4 times. 4 times for a normal rental stamp duty, no big deal. 500, 1,000 times 4. But ABSD stamp duty, like 200,000 times 4, 800,000, big deal. Okay, so it's 4 times. Resale levy for subsidized executive HDB flat sold after 3rd March. Okay, there's a whole table on resale levy. And again, it will be more complicated going forward, right? With all the prime plus and everything else, all the clawback is correct. Okay, so majority got it wrong. 45, 55, okay, nice. But again, I say you are learning something. Okay, the people who got it wrong learn more. Good job. Estimated time frame between HDB first and second appointment. Is it 8 weeks? Is it 10 weeks? Or maybe it's like 16 weeks? Right? Normally agents say how many months? Right, it's none of the above. Unfortunately, I have successfully set up another trick question. There isn't a HDB first and second appointment per se. This is a very old school term. If you know first appointment, second appointment, that means you are also not very young. Okay? A long time ago, there's a HDB first and second appointment. These days, there isn't any. You just do the resale application, then you do the endorsement. Everything is done online using your SingPass, and you just go for a completion appointment. Okay, so there's no more first appointment and second appointment. Anybody tell first appointment, second appointment, that one is confirmed old school. Okay, long time ago. So it's none of the above. Okay, there isn't any first and second anymore. Lease buyback scheme applicable to what kind of flat types? Yeah, I also don't know first appointment, second appointment one. I also hear from my old friends. All of the above is correct. Okay, so lease buyback, government very steady. Okay, big or small flat, you want to sell to them, right? They will take it from you. Next, number of owners for a HDB flat. Actually, why cap? Maybe 16 also can. It's 4. Never hear before got those people with add their children in, man. Right, so the people who only have 2, remember, I mean, you just think about it. You should have heard from somewhere that someone also co-own the property with their parents so that they can use their CPF because their parents not working. Okay, so definitely can be more than 2. Okay, but not 6, not 8, but just 4. Okay, that's the maximum. And if you download a copy of the HDB OTP, you can also see that there's only 4 rows. That means the max you can put is just 4. Stamp duty calculation. For those people type so fast one, you just anyhow type one. So immediately you can remember, but your mental sum so good. And 0.004 or divide by 250, right? Okay, 172 is correct. In case you got 173, it's because you round up. Okay, so for stamp duty is one of the very generous thing that the IRAS, okay, is giving away discount every year. They let you keep the change, they round down. So for stamp duty is round down. Every time, even you get 172.90 cents, okay, it's still round down back to 172. Okay, this is what we call a staggered rent, okay, which is very common also in the retail space, especially. Office for 5 years, rent is 3,000 for first 2 years, 3,003 for the next 3 years. What's the stamp duty payable? Yeah. I'm giving you guys more time because this one by right you need a bit more time. 5 of you got it correct. Nice. Okay, but it also means that majority got it wrong. And for those of you that got it wrong, right? Okay, that got it wrong, I think it's because you used the full 5 years. Okay, do I have the explanation? So you got it for the full 5 years. You are only supposed to calculate up to 4 years max. And how you do, you just do the average of the 5 years, then you should be able to know what is the average rent per year. And I have the answer here. So you calculate the average annual rent. Okay, so this is how it works out, the answer. So year 1 and year 2 is 3,000, right? Year 3 to year 5 is 3,003. You just need to take the average. Then now you know that the average rent per year is 3,180. Next, you just calculate the rent based on 3,180, which you will get is 610. You don't need to, even though the lease is for 5 years, your stamp duty, you just need to calculate based on 4 years. Okay, again, IRAS generosity. Okay, they give you chance. unless you siam the text, then they fine you 4 times. TA signed in Jakarta and came in only on the 5th of April. So by when you need to stamp the tenancy agreement is the 5th of May. It's 1 month after the document arrived in Singapore. It's not based on the 1st March, so you don't need to stamp within 14 March. By 14 March, same thing is not based on 14 days after it arrived. It's 1 month, okay? Because they just thought that this document from overseas, they give you more time. But then again, it's the old rule. These days, document, everything logistic also very fast already. Things can be in Singapore in 24, 48 hours, okay? But still, the IRAS rule is based on 30 days from the time that the document arrived in Singapore. The question can do e-sign or not, can, but if you check the law firm will still ask for wet ink, okay? So by right, but then again, when you do the e-stamping, the IRAS actually did ask, is this an electronic document? So it's quite complicated but IRAS recognizes as electronic document these days. Foreign person, why Sentosa? These days, foreign person, very precious. 1,800 square meter is the correct answer. Okay, there is no restriction. There's also restriction. The normal local, they can buy very, very large. Okay, but for the foreigners, there's still a size. Okay, that means more or less about 18,000, 19,000 square feet, which is already very large, right? So there is a cap. Okay, and you can find this in the LDAU website, in the FAQ, in case anybody wondering from where I get this. This is from the LDAU FAQ section. Okay, let us take a quick 5 minutes break, and then we will resume at 8:39. Okay, go for a drink, go for a toilet break, and then we'll come back to finish up another 25 questions or 24 questions, and then you are good for the evening. Okay? Let me... Hope everyone is back, all good. So, yeah. Let's continue. Deemed expenses. This is also very helpful because they have deemed expenses. Then you don't need to go and justify everything as long as you're within that range that you feel is good enough for you. Okay, nice. So 15%, majority got it correct. Okay, that's pretty standard. So anything that is, that means once you submit your income tax, then IRAS will assume if it's 15% you spend on miscellaneous expenses for the property, which is usually good for most people, unless you do a major revamp overhaul of the whole place, then you spend a lot of money. Okay, if not, usually it's good enough. Jim plans to invest in a condo unit and lease it out. What's the minimum period? Max occupants. Now these days, a lot of co-living. Right, also got co-living. Co-living can, how many people co-living? Nice. 3 months, 6 packs is the correct answer. Not 6 months, 6 packs. And certainly not 8 packs. So 3 months and 6 packs for private property. This one easy already. Just now, when we talk about the HFE, we also talk about this, right? So if you get this wrong, I also don't know what to say. That means maybe you just, whatever the option come up, you just tap the first one. How come got people still get wrong one? It's 21 days. Just now I also mentioned HFE is 21 working days and OTP is 21 calendar days. So good job, 128 of you. The 14 days, maybe you confuse or mixed up. Private is 14 days. Okay, just in case, for general knowledge and also for your future, to more in-depth understanding why it needs 3 weeks is because for HDB process, after you run the option, the next working day, the buyer or the buyer's agent need to submit for valuation, right? And then should a valuation be needed, they need to make appointment, go down to take a look at the place, take note, then go back to their office again, right, to do assessment and then come up with the valuation and then finally send the valuation to the buyer. Only with the valuation, then the buyer can go and do the loan. So can you imagine with all this work, it is just impossible to do in 7 days and definitely also not 14 days. Even 21 days, sometimes we find a big stretch if the valuation appointment, if the valuation took longer than expected to be out. Okay, so if you understand the process, which is the valuation first and then followed by the bank loan, you will know that 7 days and 14 days is very, very tough. Okay, why private can do 14 days and not HDB? Because private valuation is after option exercise, not before. Next question, SPR quota. How many percent and how many percent? And sometimes they will swap. That means they may ask you the block first, then the neighborhood. So don't just memorize by heart, like the number 710 or 107 or 58 or 85. Okay, don't just memorize by heart. Need to know which is which. Is it the neighborhood, then the block? In case they ask you the block and neighborhood, then you can also flip it around. So it's 5% neighborhood, then 8% block. Okay. So those people, 73, I think you also got it. Opposite. Household income ceiling for non-subsidized resale flat. With Singapore being such a wealthy country and the median income growing every single year, I think the income ceiling for BTO, for EC, I think it's just a matter of time. And also not just because of the income level, but I think the property prices has gone up. The 81 of you, okay, also, in fact, all the rest, okay, other than the 190, it's no income ceiling. Remember, it's non-subsidized resale flat. It's not a BTO, okay? So non-subsidized resale flat has no income ceiling. You can be a millionaire or a billionaire and no one can deny you to own a HDB, assuming you don't have other property, okay, of course, okay, for a resale flat, okay? There's no income ceiling. That's why sometimes you got to see those people very rich, very, very rich, but still stay in HDB flat. Jane got outstanding loan, and Jane would like to buy another residential property. Okay, again, I cannot put the full word. Residential property. So how much loan? How much loan? The loan to value, the percentage. And what is the ABSD? So if you know the ABSD rate, already 50%, you know the two answer is wrong. Okay, so the answer is 45% loan and 20% ABSD. Again, those people that choose the 17% ABSD one, that means you are not updated to the latest. So Singaporean second property ABSD is now 20%. Okay, you should only choose either from the green or the blue. Then the LTV, the loan to value, because already it is considered second loan. so can only loan 45%. First loan, 75%. Second loan, 45%. Rachel, PR, married to James, who is a FR, foreigner. FR is foreigner. They decided to purchase a condo for $2 million. What is the stamp duty payable? Married, PR, married to foreigner. Purchase condo for $2 million. This one I give longer because by right need to calculate. So nothing wrong. If you took more than 30 seconds, you are normal. If you are very fast, then awesome. Okay, the answer is the largest 1.2 million. Okay, so those people who calculated the others is because maybe you calculated based on 5%, right? Because you thought that maybe use the ABSD. It cannot be the normal 5%. Okay, so the stamp duty will include the BSD and the ABSD. So just in case you got it confused again, and why your answer is different from other people, or maybe you forgot to calculate certain things, but whenever they ask you for the stamp duty, it would means the normal BSD and any ABSD if applicable. They will not ask you to calculate only the ABSD or whatever. They will just ask you stamp duty, and you are supposed to calculate based on whether got ABSD or not. And if you know that the latest foreigner tax is 60%, that means even without calculation, if you think about it, if you know that the foreigner is 60%, you will know for 2 million property, the ABSD is already another 1.2 million. Okay, then that is the other is the BSD already. Okay, PR and foreigner is based on the higher rate, not based on the 5%. Yeah, matrimonial home also like that. Only SC. Only if it's Singaporean with a foreigner or Singaporean with a PR matrimonial home, then it's based on the local rate, the normal rate. But once it's a foreigner with a PR, even married, even first property, even matrimonial home, still 60%. Commercial property, 1.5 million. Okay, remember there's a new tier, right? For the commercial. Commercial is 1 to 5, residential is 1 to 6. Because last time commercial, in case for those people who are new to this, last time commercial, even to buy $10 million shop house, also 3%. Last time only 3%. So it's 44,600, that's the correct answer. The holding company bought shop house at 5 million, 30% of the unit is dwelling. So this one you need to calculate what? The GST payable. So is GST payable on the 5 million or the 30%? KK, the PR is really just you just calculate the ABSD plus the BSD on 2 million. Okay, BSD on 2 million plus the ABSD. All right, so based on this one is, so most of you got it correct, it's 280,000. How you get it is you just, because 30% is dwelling got no GST, so 70%. 70%, which is the 3.5 million. 3.5 million, you use the 8%, then you should be able to get 280K. Nice. So next year, this one will change to 9%. Strata floor area of new EC. This was measured from 2013. And I think the condo was the origin trigger for this should be a condo called City Lights at Tampines, because they built a super big penthouse, which doesn't make sense as the EC cap, income cap back then was only 14,000. So it doesn't make sense for a 40,000 to be able to afford that penthouse. So I think after that, the HDB, they say that must cap at a certain size, which is 160. Okay, so that's why in case you see some of the very old penthouse, EC penthouse can be 2,000 plus square feet, it doesn't happen anymore. The new ones you see is not as big. Okay, it's because of that logic, which is true lah. Like why you build something for 2 over million and you're encouraging people that is making 14 or 16K to go and buy a 2 over million dollar property, right? Maybe it doesn't make sense, okay, in terms of affordability. EC sale sites from GLS will only be allowed to launch for sale, okay, how many months? So every time when you see a EC that is being successfully tendered in GLS, government land sales, right? You'll notice that it will take a while before the developer actually launch it for sale. This is actually a cooling measure, a form of cooling measure, because they don't want the developer to immediately launch it. It's 15 months. That is the correct answer. Similar to the HDB that they tell you you sell a private, you need to wait out 15 months. Okay? So somehow they like this 15 months. Okay? They feel that it's a sufficient time for people to really wait out. And the 5-year MOP for an EC is computed from which date? The day you book, the date you exercise the SMP, the TOP of the project, or the notice of vacant possession, which is when developer says that you can collect the key. Okay, the answer is the date of TOP. That's correct. So good. Most of you got it correct. Some of you thought it's the vacant possession. So EC have the same TOP date. That's why I look at some of the EC. Everybody will get the same TOP date. Notice of vacant possession can be different dates. Because as they give out keys for different floor or different stack or different blocks. So every one notice of vacant possession might be slightly different, but the TOP for the project is the same, which is beyond the scope of work. You know the difference between EA, right, and salesperson? I hope, I'm sure. So EA is not you, okay? So it's none of the above that more of you know. So as an EA, so that like PropNex, right? So private treaty also, when you do tender, you can also do, auction also can do. So it's none of the above. Multi-select. So we always need to obtain seller's consent. We don't just, I know the person, I know one gentleman agreement, whatever kind of thing. Okay, the answer is the red and the in writing, and of course the yellow or orange, depends on the screen, is the SMS. And if you notice is why the green color, of course, because it's any verifiable mode of communication. So it could be WhatsApp, right? It could be email, but it's verifiable mode of communication. Definitely not verbal. Verbal is not verifiable unless you do voice recording. But then again, it's very hard to prove that this voice belongs to the person, right? So don't do that. Jason has a shop house in a superb location and needs to sell urgently. Keyword is superb and urgently. For those people who don't know what is open tender, closed tender, go and also read up in case it's like, hey, got closed tender, man, what's closed tender? Alright, so auction is the correct answer. It will probably compact in a very short period of time, and because it's a good location, so it might probably have twin bidders, and they'll be able to immediately collect the 10% deposit, etc. Right? So answer is auction. Another multi-select. Open tender, you still need people to go and submit their interest, and then after that, you need to select. In an auction, it's probably able to create more competition, okay, and push up the price. And of course, the commitment of the tender is that auction you can get money immediately. Remember, urgently, urgent, need money, straight away can get it 10%. Okay, show flat directions, so LTA, okay, and DCA. So these are the two authorities. URA, not really. URA look into the show flat, but they don't really look into the signage. MPAC. Interesting, even though maybe they are planted along the road or on even, they don't tie on trees at all. They are signage on the road. Okay, but anyway, DCA, LTA. Two questions, right? Relax, this one easy one. 90% should get it correct. Oh, 100%, got chance or not? Still the majority, that's nice. Private treaty is the way. Private treaty, we got so many, most common way of selling real estate, like word of mouth. Then you become agent if most common way of selling is word of mouth, it's private treaty. Okay, cannot most common is word of mouth. Private treaty is the, right, we OTP, then we put the offer for sale, okay, then they make an offer, then we OTP, that's private treaty, not word of mouth. Key considerations for high-rise commercial properties. High-rise commercial properties like Warwick, is high rise, right? Suntec, high rise. The tower, Suntec Tower is high rise. So key considerations. Okay, it's vertical transportation, and the reason, if you think about it, the high rise or low rise, the share value is kind of here to like kind of confuse you. It doesn't really very important. Because high rise and share value is not so. The catchment, I understand, is again a little bit to confuse, but generally whether high rise, low rise, as long as commercial, even a 2-story, 3-story building, no high rise like Vivo City, okay, or Harbourfront or certain low rise building, the population catchment is still important. So, but the key differences, the key consideration is vertical transportation. Cost the lift up down. Small claim, which I also again hope that you never need to go through this, whether you are trying to claim someone or being claimed. Not the most pleasant experience, and sometimes very waste time. Small claim, if the total value doesn't exceed how much? Last time was 10. Then they increase. Okay, is 20,000 and 2 years, okay, from the event. So if you need to claim from somebody, don't wait and wait, just claim, okay, and not exceeding 20,000. I think can appeal to 30,000, but generally, if you look at the website, it's 20,000. Okay, very interesting. We have 53 people to put all of the above. If you read properly, irrevocable offer which binds only the vendor. What does this mean? It means that the vendor cannot change their mind. Okay, this is what it means. So, the irrevocable offer which binds only the purchaser. No, the option to purchase doesn't bind the purchaser because purchaser can choose not to exercise. So, the moment you see the irrevocable offer binds purchaser, once you see this one, it means that all of the above is also wrong. Right? So, it's only the first two. It's either the irrevocable offer binds the vendor or the binding contract. To be fair, binding contract is also correct, which is why I understand why you guys choose. But the irrevocable offer, which binds only the vendor, is the more proper, correct answer. Okay, so again, choose the better answer. For no sale and sale license, this kind of question also come up before, and very same one. Frankly, like how many people really bother to memorize all this, right? But if you did, good. Okay. So 100K and 1 million, okay, this is for no sale license. And for 100K, then sale is 1 million. So that is the amount. Zane, hanging on, Ming at 1, Josh, okay, last few questions already. Last 2 questions. Law Society of Singapore, okay, the condition of sale, 2020. Actually, this one last time was higher. And then they adjusted because interest rate was low. But now interest rate also go up. So I don't know when is the next COS. Maybe the next COS they will go up again. Good. Most people got it correct. It's 8%. Okay. Last question. Zane still there. Good. Will Zane get it wrong? Let's keep. Shi Han answer straight of 11. Good job. Alright, last question now. And this one I show in my slides when I first started. I talk about the recent changes, and there is an increase in CPF housing grant. So what is the CPF housing grant? For 4-room and 5-room for first-time singles. Majority got it correct, and for the 115 of you who got it wrong, add together 115. So still more than half got it wrong. Okay, I mean, you just need to study for this, but I think this is important. So definitely the CPF housing grant, this is really bread and butter fundamental. You cannot get it wrong, whether it is for a family or for singles. Okay, but nonetheless, we have come to the end of the session. So congrats to Ming, congrats to Edwin, and congrats to Zane. The animation slow. Yes. Okay, so congratulations. Hopefully this gives you a little bit more confidence to study for the exam, to do well. All right. And Let me see. Okay, so thank you everyone. Okay, we have come to the end of this revision. Again,